Hello guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a pretty highly requested video from you guys. So we're going to be comparing the Dior Face and Body Foundation with the MAC Face and Body Foundation. The reason this took me a little bit of time to get up was just because I really wanted to familiarize myself with the Dior Face and Body Foundation. It's relatively new to me, whereas the MAC one I've been using for a couple years now. So just wanted to, get all my information right and, take notes of my experience with the two for you guys. So before we get into this video, I would love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel just so you can stay updated whenever I upload my next video for you guys. And I would love it if you guys would come follow me on Instagram too, because you'll seriously always find me on Instagram whenever I'm not here on my channel. And yeah, that's everything I wanted to say, so we can get into the video now. Just a little close-up of the bottles for you guys. So as you can see, really similar packaging on both of them. The Dior is a little bit more of that kind of like rubber suede texture, whereas the MAC one is just really sleek. But in terms of the actual product dispensers, they're really similar. All right, so packaging, super similar. That doesn't really pertain to the actual product. Aside from the fact that both of these foundations are quite fluid and they're quite watery in formulation. So the packaging is actually really nice because they have these nice squeezy bottles that you can dispense the product onto your hand using. So I do really like the packaging. Yeah. All right, so the MAC Face and Body Foundation is available in 13 different shades, and then the Dior Face and Body Foundation is available in 40 different shades. In MAC Face and Body, I am in the shade C6, and in the Dior Face and Body Foundation, I am in the shade 3W. When I had heard about the Dior Face and Body Foundation, I was really excited because I thought that this was gonna be kind of like Dior's version of MAC Face and Body, and I thought it was gonna be quite similar. They're actually not very similar in my opinion, and I don't think if you like Face and Body, you will necessarily like the Dior Face and Body and vice versa. So I think they're completely different. They perform completely different on my skin. So let's start off with talking about Face and Body. So the most unique thing about Face and Body is its formulation. I really don't think that there is anything else that's like Face and Body. At least I haven't tried anything like it. It has a very unique fluid but still gel-like formulation to it, and it really does just go over your skin and set to your skin almost like a latex glove. It truly has the most unique ability to stick to your skin in a way that looks really natural, and it sets down to, in my opinion, probably the most realistic looking skin finish on your face. Another really unique characteristic about the MAC Face and Body Foundation is that when it sets down on the skin, it still looks very dewy, very radiant, very luminous. It looks so natural and just like healthy, plump skin, even though it's set down. Whereas, usually when foundations set down, they tend to go a little bit more matte or a little bit on the satin side. This one truly stays very radiant and just very like healthy looking skin-like, even when it's set down and isn't gonna be budging anymore. So I think that's really one of the things that appeals the most for me personally with this foundation. I like how it always looks very dewy, very radiant, and very luminous on the skin. Coverage-wise, the MAC Face and Body is anywhere from sheer to a good, like well-rounded full medium coverage. You can really build this up as much as you want, and I really feel like, again, it has like another unique characteristic to where it never really looks cakey. It will start to look like makeup, but when you start building foundations on top of themselves a lot, they start getting really cakey looking. The Face and Body never really gets that cake face look to it, which I think is really great. But it has a really beautiful, customizable, buildable coverage to it, and you can just use the tiniest bit of product and it'll just put down a really beautiful, light, milky veil of coverage on the skin. So I will cut into my application shot so you guys can watch me build this up on the skin. With the MAC Face and Body, you always want to make sure you give this guy a really good shake, as with pretty much all foundations, but especially with this one. I'm gonna start off with about that much of product, and I'm gonna rub it in between my hands until I feel the product start to get tacky. And then just lightly start applying this all over the face. All right, so one layer. So here is one layer of MAC Face and Body. You can see it just puts down a really nice sheer tint of coverage onto the skin. So I'll do another layer so you guys can see it build. Again, working with about that much of product. And then lightly patting it all over the skin. Now we're at 2 layers of face and body. As you guys can see, more coverage all over, but it's always gonna keep this really nice gel, dewy looking finish on the skin. And you can see it reflects back a lot of light off the high points of my face. So I'm gonna go in with a 3rd layer so you guys can see this really built up. So again, working with about the same amount. And then we're just gonna start patting this all over. And you guys will see this. And by this 3rd layer, you guys will see it in its true, you know, fully medium coverage state. 3 layers, and now it's really at that, you know, fully medium coverage point, whereas you could layer this on top of itself. It's just to your own taste, what you like your skin to look like. But really one of the most remarkable things about face and body is how it just fits to the skin like a latex glove and just looks really natural and doesn't hide any of your skin's texture. Anything that you've naturally got going on your skin, this isn't going to settle in. It's not going to accentuate anything. It just manages to look just like your own skin. So this is 3 full layers, lots of light reflecting back on the face, and it's just a really beautiful, you know, dewy, hydrated looking skin. Now that you guys saw the application, that's one thing I really wanted to touch on. I do feel like the MAC Face and Body is best applied with hands. I just don't think you get the same beautiful result as if you were to use a brush or a sponge. I just think it's best made to be used with your warm fingertips and really, you know, gliding and moisturizing your skin with it. You apply it like you would a moisturizer, essentially. Now, in terms of longevity, I think this one is kind of an oddball because the longevity is gonna depend on the person, your skin type. Since I'm dry, I do find that generally foundations tend to last a really long time on my skin. Now, if you use the right primer and the proper setting spray and setting powder for your skin type, I think you can really get a full 9 hours or more out of this foundation. One thing to note with MAC Face and Body though, is that I do find that this foundation progressively throughout the day tends to get a lot more luminous and a lot more dewy looking because it just works with the oils that are coming off in your skin. So it could be a foundation that you find yourself having to, you know, use blotting sheets or powdering throughout the day, but it plays well with touch-ups. Some foundations don't work great when you're trying to touch them up. The Face and Body, I think it is totally fine for those of you who have to touch up throughout the day. So longevity is gonna completely depend on your skin type. If you're dry, it's gonna last a lot longer on you. Whereas if you're oily, you're probably gonna have to take a couple more steps into prepping the base and setting the base to get the best wear out of this. But I honestly feel like even when I don't prep or set this foundation, it still looks just as good and I can still get a full day's wear out of it. On to Dior Face and Body. This one is completely different in formulation than the MAC Face and Body. This one is so much more lightweight, watery, and fluid of a consistency. And I also feel like formulation wise, I feel the slightest bit of powder to it. It's almost kind of silky powdery even when it's in its wet stage, and that's something that you guys will notice when you're applying this. You'll start to kind of see the foundation set, and it sets down to a, I would say, a matte finish, but I still personally do find this matte finish to be a little bit more radiant and more on the satin side than like a fully matte like the Estee Lauder Double Wear. It's not that matte to me. It still has the slightest bit of radiance to it. Now, in terms of application, I like all different forms of application with this one. I like fingers, I like brushes, and I like sponges. I think you can really take your pick in terms of application tools with this one. Now, the coverage on this one, again, I do find it to be customizable. However, this one goes all the way full flawless coverage. So you can wear this anywhere from sheer to completely full coverage, mannequin satin finish on the skin. So it's a very buildable coverage foundation that you can really take your pick on what you want your skin to look like for the day when you're using this. Now, okay, let's go into application. All right, starting off with a clean base again, we're gonna be doing Dior Face and Body Foundation. Always shake that stuff up. We're gonna work with about that much of product, and we're just gonna apply this the same way we did the MAC Face and Body. Just lightly working it into the skin with the fingertips. Now, one of the things you guys will notice about the Dior foundation is even though we worked with a similar amount of product, we're getting way more coverage. And as I'm blending this in, you guys can really see it. It's much more matte. This is one layer of Dior Face and Body, much less luminous, more of a true matte. I would still say this has a nice radiant quality to it, to where it's not completely chalky and fully matte to the point that it's, you know, making your skin look sunken in or anything, but very minimal light reflection back on the skin, and definitely looks quite powdery, but not in a bad way, just a lot less luminous. I'm gonna work with a little bit less product this time and just lightly stipple this all over using my fingers, but just so you guys can see it, you know, build up. All right, there we go. This is 2 layers of Dior Face and Body, more coverage. Even though I only worked with a small bead of product, it really builds up and gets very full coverage very quickly. So a little bit goes a long way with this product. And as you can see, the longer it sets on the skin, the more it sets down to that matte finish. It looks like I have a little layer of powder on my skin. And as you guys saw, the Dior foundation has so much more pigment. A little bit really goes a long way with this foundation. And the more natural and sheer you want it to look, you just need the tiniest drop of product, because a little bit of this, as you guys saw, goes a very long way. Now, in terms of longevity with this foundation, I think it is super long lasting. I wore this in New Orleans and I was sweating, my face was sweating profusely, and the foundation, once my sweat had dried, all my makeup was still on my face. So I was very impressed with the longevity of this foundation. I find on my skin, I can get a full 9+ hours of wear without even using a long wear like base primer or a setting spray. So I just find that the longevity on this one is really good. Keep in mind that is because it does set down to more of that satin matte finish. Matte foundations tend to last a lot longer on the skin. Now, one thing I will say, if you are oily, I do notice that this kind of tends to make the middle of my face get a little bit more oily. It's almost like the powder in the foundation is kind of pulling the oil out of my skin slightly. So I did find myself occasionally having to use blotting sheets with this one. And you guys know me, I am not oily. So that's just something to be aware of as well. Now that you guys can see the foundation side by side, you can see that they're 2 completely different animals. Aside from the fact that they both have the unique ability to have super customizable coverage, they just don't really perform that similar, aside from once they set down, you can use them on the face and body, and they're pretty budge proof, both of them. Now, the MAC one, as you guys could tell, it's a very, you know, wet looking foundation on the skin, but once you set it with powder, it does not look nearly as wet. So you shouldn't be afraid of that finish. Some people may like that, however. Now you guys are probably wondering, who's gonna like what? So MAC Face and Body, I think this is catered toward the person who likes very easy, effortless products that you can just apply with your fingers regularly, and also the person who wants their skin to always look really natural and doesn't care so much for a matte finish or something that's going to look super flawless on the skin. The MAC Face and Body gives you really beautiful coverage, but it's not that like really flawless mannequin looking finish on the skin. MAC Face and Body, in my opinion, is more natural, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, effortless, like model off duty vibes. Whereas someone who's gonna like the Dior Face and Body is gonna be someone who probably is going to be more inclined to liking something that's more similar to a traditional foundation. The Dior Face and Body has beautiful coverage. You can really get it to that full flawless mannequin finish on the skin, and it does, you know, set down to that matte finish, so it lasts a little bit longer. But I would say that the Dior Face and Body foundation is more standard and more along the lines of your traditional foundation, if you will, whereas the MAC Face and Body, there's truly nothing else like it. Nothing that I've ever used has, you know, compared to the MAC Face and Body. I think it's one of a kind, and it really has that unique characteristic to just make your skin look really healthy and just mold with your skin's own natural texture and not really change things. Whereas the Dior Face and Body is gonna give you a little bit more of a, you know, flawless, perfected look, depending on how much coverage you use from the product itself. And I know you guys are gonna ask, which one do I like more? But I don't really necessarily like one more over the other. I use them for different things. The MAC Face and Body has been a true favorite for so many years. It will always be in my top 3 favorites. And then the Dior Face and Body is a new favorite that I've been using quite regularly recently. I think it's gonna be completely dependent on what your guys' goals are in terms of the results you wanna achieve from the foundation itself. So like I was saying, the MAC Face and Body is a little bit more natural looking and just manages to always look like skin, whereas the Dior foundation is a little bit more perfecting, and you can really build it up to that full flawless coverage if that's what you want. So I think it's more so picking the one that you think is gonna work with your skin type, your lifestyle, and your taste in what you want foundation to look like once you've done your makeups. If this was helpful, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. If you guys have any questions regarding these 2 foundations, I will help you out as best as I can. Just leave me a comment down below. I always do my best to get back to every single one of you guys. Please be sure to subscribe if you didn't earlier, and come follow me on Instagram too if you didn't earlier. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to hit in this video. Like I said, any questions, guys, I will always help you to the best of my ability. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for requesting and watching this video. Bye, guys.